Joan Rivers said that Michelle Obama was a man before she died. When
was that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too, but the way she said it wasn't like jokey. She was like, oh, come on, everybody knows Michelle Obama's a man. Like, remember that?
Yeah, like, would Big Mike kill you for that?
Well, I think she died because she had 1,000 plastic surgeries. But
Michelle, she should change her name to Misery Obama. That's really what I think of when I... Misery Obama never has a positive word to say. Never. Not about children, not about family, certainly not about her husband.
Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly just unleashed a brutal takedown of Michelle Obama, ripping through the glossy facade with razor-sharp wit and non-incense honesty. From her carefully staged relatability to her endless stream of empty platitudes, they expose the media's favorite first lady as more brand than substance. No topic is off limits as they torch the myth of Michelle's untouchable status. It's bold, hilarious, and refreshingly raw. This roast leaves no spotlight untouched.
Thinking of victims of this awful world, you think of Michelle Obama and how terrible we've all been to her. This woman is a one-woman destitution derby. Every time we check in on her at her podcast, she is feeling sorry for herself.
Rogan launched into his takedown of Michelle Obama with the same energy he brings to a conversation about psychedelics or elk meat. Focused, animated, and borderline astonished that nobody else seemed to be pointing out the obvious. The media had spent years treating Michelle like she descended from the heavens, holding a protein shake and a memoir. But Joe wasn't buying any of it. To him, she was the world's most well-branded self-help guru with a Netflix contract and the emotional range of a bumper sticker.
El Salvador, who have already been deported, and not American citizens. The media has claimed are American citizens, but they're not. No American citizens. Anyway, it's just been so ridiculous. And the fact that she would try to parlay this into like, I'm so scared, but also super important. But also my daughters are brown, so they're also potential victims because everyone hates brown people unless they could identify them as an Obama.
Began by dissecting her public persona. Polished, poised, constantly grinning like she just remembered a secret the rest of the world wasn't cool enough to know. Joe found that especially fascinating, how someone could manage to float through major interviews and appearances without ever saying anything. Remotely risky yet still be hailed as the voice of courage. It was the kind of calculated performance that made him twitch. He compared it to watching someone play chess against themselves while a cheering crowd acted like it was.
At Tim Dillon's video where he was saying that Michelle Obama should run for president. If she won, she could pull her out and China would just give up. I was wheezing. I couldn't breathe. Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Don't get him started on the speeches. Joe joked that Michelle's speeches had all the excitement of a hotel room iron. Smooth, predictable, and only slightly more useful when plugged in. He mocked how every statement she made felt like it had been filtered through 5 sensitivity readers, 3 consultants, and a committee of well-meaning brand managers who were terrified of an adjective that wasn't in line with uplifting. Public presence wasn't inspiring. Joe argued it was safe. So safe it could be used as
a boy in the mix.
I'm so glad I didn't have a boy.
Yeah.
Because he would have been a Barack Obama.
It's like baby Barack. It would have been amazing.
No, I would have felt for him.
She just borrowed our boys.
Yes, I got plenty.
Wow.
You catch that? She's glad she didn't have a boy because he would have been a Barack Obama. And that's a hard pass for her.
Came the food crusade. Joe went off on how Michelle turned school lunches into a national experiment in sadness. Broccoli quinoa and mystery greens were supposed to be the foundation of a healthy future. But to Joe, it looked more like a cafeteria hostage situation. He imagined kids across America looking at their beige trays with the kind of despair usually reserved for jury duty. While Michelle smiled on television, pretending that kids were thrilled about carrot sticks, the real revolution was happening in lunchbox black markets. Fruit roll-ups were traded like cigarettes in a 1940s.
Okay, that's it. This is the one.
Or the first woman
We already
president.
have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
a transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty funny how she said it.
Okay, we all know it.
He leaned hard into the irony of Michelle presenting herself as the face of struggle while living in palatial homes, flying private and cashing royalty checks thicker than the average voter's mortgage. Joe wasn't begrudging success. He respected hustle. but he couldn't stand when success dressed itself up in a costume of victim. According to him, Michelle Obama didn't rise from the ashes. She was handed a lighter and told to strike a match near a safe fireplace. Her version of hardship felt like a dramatized after-school special about not getting Wi-Fi in the guest house. And the books, oh, the books. Joe laughed at how Michelle could publish entire volumes that essentially said nothing but got treated like they were revolutionary political doctrine. He said reading one of her books was like being trapped in a conversation with someone who just discovered the concept of self-love and won't stop posting about it. He joked that her chapters could be summed up as feel good, drink water, and remember your power, which was fine if you were selling scented candles, not leading cultural narratives. Joe closed his segment with a sharp critique of the media's undying obsession with Michelle's fashion choices, workout routines, and eyebrow angles. He said it wasn't admiration, it was idolatry.
You know, what's happening to immigrants.
I mean, I travel in a 4-car motorcade. After all, I'm Michelle Obama. She actually says this. And then she says, but, I worry for my girls because, not that much because they are sort of recognizable, but I'm worried about them.
So it's not the fear for myself anymore. I drive around in a 4-car motorcade with a police escort. I'm Michelle Obama. I do still worry about my daughters in the world, even though they are somewhat recognizable.
They weren't analyzing a public figure. They were trying to canonize one. And that was the problem. Michelle Obama wasn't just respected. She was untouchable. And when someone's that wrapped in protective layers of adoration, it's usually because what's inside can't stand on its own. Then came Megyn Kelly. She walked in like a lawyer entering a courtroom with a case so airtight. The jury would be yawning halfway through deliberation. Megyn wasn't here to joke. She came with facts, observations, and a scalpel disguised as a smile. To Megyn, Michelle Obama was the high priestess of political branding. Everything about her public image had been meticulously constructed, crafted, refined, triple-tested, and sold to the public like a new line of luxury skincare. She wasn't spontaneous, she was strategic, and the act wore thin quickly if you look past the polished veneer. Megyn started with Michelle's relentless campaign to be seen as relatable. That word to Megyn had become a running joke. Relatable Michelle lived in multi-million-dollar homes, vacationed on private islands, and spent more time in makeup trailers than most
actors. Everybody having a good time. The country's almost back to normal before World War III. COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive. Yeah. Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. I think Michelle Obama's got a dick. I think Pizzagate is real. I think there's direct energy weapons in Antarctica.
She told audiences to just be themselves. Megyn Picturette's army of handlers, stylists, and consultants, standing off stage making sure her earrings aligned with the teleprompter lighting. If relatability were an Olympic sport, Michelle wouldn't even qualify. Then she went after the carefully crafted myth that Michelle never wanted the spotlight. Megyn called that the biggest scam in modern political theater. The idea that Michelle reluctantly stepped into public life, only to launch books, podcasts, TV deals in a public speaking empire was laughable. She compared it to someone saying they hate attention while skydiving into a press conference with a neon sign that reads, "Notice me." Megyn wasn't buying the modesty act. It was marketing, plain and simple. Megyn hammered home how Michelle played both sides of every issue. One day she was the unifier, calling for peace and kindness. The next day, she'd imply half the country was irredeemable, using that graceful but firm tone that sounded more like a disappointed principal than a thought leader. To Megyn, this wasn't strength, it was manipulation. Michelle never took a real stand. She just swayed with the safest wind and acted like she'd fought a hurricane.
She'd die.
2014.
Okay, so it was 2014. So it was 2014 that she did that, where she in 2014. So it had to be before 2014 because she was dead in 2014. So 2014 or before, she said Michelle Obama is a man. So this is like 10 years.
Have you ever
ago.
heard that before her?
I never heard it. No, I didn't even hear her say that until years later.
Then she turned her sights on Michelle's legacy as First Lady. What exactly had she accomplished? Sure, there were fitness initiatives, healthy eating programs, and hashtag campaigns. But Megyn pointed out that none of it translated into actual long-lasting change. The food guidelines were rolled back. The exercise programs were forgotten. And the speeches, they were emotional OPTs with the intellectual weight of a Pinterest board. She ridiculed how the press treated Michelle like a philosopher queen, even though her statements were about as profound as a coffee mug in a gift shop. You're enough. Stay strong. Love wins. Megyn didn't disagree with the sentiments, but she was baffled by how they were treated like groundbreaking truths. She said if Michelle Obama was considered a deep thinker, then the bar for insight had been lowered to the point of tripping hazards. And then came the cultural pandering. Megyn had no patience for the way Michelle played the identity card when it was convenient, only to retreat behind a cloud of vague platitudes when anything controversial came up. Michelle managed to present herself as a warrior and a victim. At the same time, a balancing act Megyn found exhausting and dishonest.